Good morning, everyone. Larry here with the Farmstead Way, and I am out here. I'm back in Ohio, as you can tell. Got a fire going this morning. We're gonna do a campfire breakfast with the family, and I decided to make a video. This past week has been crazy. I got back from North Carolina late Monday night, and then work throughout the rest of the week. And it's nice to be back in Ohio because it actually feels like fall here. I had a great time with all the guys at the Pat Mac Keep the Blaze Lives coaching squad. Obviously, I had a great time getting to chat with my buddy Pat Mac of talking about homesteading stuff and whatnot. But today I want to go over a book that I think that every man should read, even though this book is intended for women and mothers. It is Hard Is Not the Same Thing as Bad by Abbie Halberstadt. The perspective shift that could completely change the way you mother. And I would love if she did a parent's book and not just motherhood books. I mean, obviously she's a mom, so she's gonna have more of that perspective. But there's concepts in this book that really made me change my focus on being a dad, as well as just life in general. This concept of hard is not the same thing as bad can be applied to so many parts in our lives. Also, I'm smoking a Peterson early morning pipe. It's about gone, so I'll have to order some more pipe tobacco here soon. So, my wife introduced me to Abbie's books a couple months ago. I read M is for Mama, and then I read Hard Is Not the Same Thing as Bad. And like I said, these books are more geared towards moms and women and the struggles that moms go through. As men and as husbands and as fathers, we don't have to deal with the same sort of struggles that our wives do because we do get a break from work. Or with work. We don't have to stay home all the time. We're constantly having our focus shift on something else. And then when we come home from work, we got about 4 hours with kids. Say you get home at 5:36, kids go to bed at 10:30. And it's not the same as with a mom who literally is with them from sunup to sundown. And that can be hard. I mean, my wife, we have 2 children, and she's gone through those struggles, and it just seems mind-numbing that the next day rolls into the next day, and it's just a struggle. Kids are wild, especially when they get into those toddler years, the whole three-nager years, and it can just mentally wear on you. But I think it's important to know that as a parent, the challenges of parenthood and motherhood are hard, but not bad. They are necessary because those challenges and those struggles builds your character and it builds the character of your children. The way you handle situations is going to reflect your children how they should handle situations down the road. Some good coffee this morning. So let's read. I've got a couple of places marked in here. Let's see here. Just because this is hard, motherhood, I remind myself it does not mean it's bad. The Lord is doing a good work in me. He is going to complete it eventually. He's upholding me with his righteous hand, and I will reap a good harvest if I do not give up. I am not a mantra girl who, like a scripture girl, see above, sometimes just mutters, hard is not the same thing as bad under my breath, which was a tiny perspective shift that allowed me to view my girls' synchronized fits not as a personal attack on my sanity, but as a chance for professional motherhood development. I reminded myself that only the most elite athletes win the gold, and only the most dedicated soldiers earn the prestigious Medal of Honor. Motherhood and parenthood, fatherhood too, is meant to be hard. It is going to challenge you, and that's something that I've learned so much, especially from having 2 kids, is you constantly have to push yourself. You have to seek those areas of discomfort, because if you constantly try to seek the easy way, you are going to suffer and your children are going to suffer. You know, you can almost add to that statement, hard is not the same thing as bad. Well, easy isn't exactly the same thing as good. You can plop your kids in front of an iPad, and that's easy, but it's not good. You can let your children get away with the same thing they've tried to pull 15 times because they're just going to do it again, which is easy, but it's not good. You could do all the XYZ parenting hacks that allows the parents to try to escape back to their original way of life because parenting's too hard. So they try to make it easy, but it's not good. And the same thing goes with fitness, exercise. I mean, even just doing different chores around the house. Sometimes the easy way is not a good way, and sometimes the hard way is not the bad way. You know, sometimes the hard way is not exactly the most efficient way, but it just depends whether or not you're trying to be efficient. Like say you're splitting wood. You can get the log splitter, and some people need the log splitter. The thing's loud, they're expensive, and it's easy. You throw your log up there and it splits it, you throw it in the pile. Or you can get you a nice splitting maul. It may not go as fast. And you can do it the hard way. It's quiet except for the axe slamming into the wood. It burns off energy and burns calories, helps you to become stronger, and allows you to think. Because you have the noise of nature and you have your mind set on what you're doing. And it allows you to pontificate on the task at hand, on things going on around you. And it builds character. Hard builds character. Easy builds complacency. And you're going to constantly try to do the same easy thing over and over and over and over again, instead of allowing the hard challenges in your life build you up. I said this book, I wish you would do a general parenting book, and I would love to do an interview with Abbie and talk about this because, like I said, most of her content is geared towards mothers, and I wonder if she understands how much this book can affect other people other than mothers, because I'm a masculine father and I got a lot out of this Motherhood book. Here's another cool little tidbit from this thing. Being a mother is hard. Anyone who says otherwise is living in a fantasy world. But it's equally as fanciful to insist that just because something is hard, we should avoid it or despise it. And it's even more unrealistic to assume that something as rich in investment and reward as raising a children should be easy. That's another part of this, especially when it comes to parenthood. Just because it's easy for you doesn't mean it's the best thing for your kids down the road. You're investing in your children. You need to be an example for your kids. If your kids constantly see you eat garbage food because it's easier to do, if they constantly see you drive your SUV down to the mailbox instead of walking your fat butt down there because it's easier, if they constantly see you just taking the shortcuts in life instead of seeing parents with grit, instead of seeing parents with strength, you're robbing the opportunity for you to be a hero in your child's life. Like, one of the examples I always think is my wife inspired me so much by having 2 children at home. That was the bravest, craziest thing I ever seen in my life. Now, the first time, it was incredible. The second time was even crazier because she knew what she was getting into. Sometimes not knowing what you're getting into, and then you go through that and people could say, I will never do that again. That's one thing. But going through hell to get to your destination, just to turn right back around and be like, I have to walk through that again because it's going to be better for me and for my baby. Jeez, that is tougher than any amount of burpees, bench pressing, hours at work, home building that I could ever do. That was the toughest thing I've ever seen anyone ever do. Because hard is not the same thing as bad. She didn't take the easy way out. And that inspired me. Because now I think to myself, well, if my wife can give birth at home with no painkillers, no interventions, then I can do this. And that's, I apply that to different things at work. I've read a lot of military books, and I always think to myself, well, if those guys in Vietnam, if those guys in Iraq, if those guys on the beaches of Normandy can push through this, then how minuscule is this next few hours at work? It takes a lot to knock a human out. It does. It takes a lot. And I think a lot of people are too easy to give up. Like I said, these, if you've not read this book, I highly recommend it. They sell these at Walmart. It's where I picked this one up. And Abby, I don't know if you'll see this video, but sometimes it'd be really sweet to chat, do a video with you sometime, talking about the different concepts in here and how they can apply both to husband, wife, mother, and father. So I'm gonna, well, based on this fire, probably gonna add a few more logs, knock this coal base out, start getting some breakfast ready for the family. So thank you all for tuning in. If you like this content, just leave a comment below if you want to see other sort of things. And I am going to be doing more homesteading, farmsteading stuff. It's just been really busy. Like I said, with trips planned and being out of town and work and kids. And so there's a couple of things I'd like to film that are going to be more homesteady. So if you have any suggestions, leave a comment below. Like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about this channel. And everyone, have a good day. Take it easy.